Chasing Rainbows has been a lifeline for us. I don't know how we would have coped if we hadn't have continued groups with Chasing Rainbows. But everything else, it's not just groups. It's a lifeline. It's I don't know, I was going to say it's a family, but obviously you meet a lot of families, and there are new families all of the time. But there's so much connection, and there's so much support. It's so important in our life now, and it has helped us more than I can even really put into words. Paul met Sam in the hospital, so she was working in the bereavement team at that time, and she had spoken with Paul about obviously the memory making and all those things that we said before, whilst we were actually spending time with Rocky in the hospital. But after that, she had spoken about a support group with Paul. After the first group, I think we thought maybe it would be too difficult for us, and I think that a lot of people think that after going to a first session. But actually, the more that we went, it then just becomes everything, and so helpful, and you are so connected to these people. Yeah. And obviously you have people in group like Sam who know how to get you talking, what what are good things to be talking about, or how to help you. It's really valuable, and I'm so glad that we kept going. At that point, Sam was still in that role before it had been pulled, and we had seen her in our debrief, in Rocky's debrief at Hull, and she called me shortly after it. I was really, really struggling at that time. And Sam had noticed that and had called to basically start support calls again with her. And from then, we'd learned about the charity and the support groups that the charity does that don't have an end date, they're ongoing. And so we joined again, and we still go.
Yeah, we did, many years later. We found ourselves a lot of the time in the group kind of being a little bit further ahead in time scale to everyone else, but I think that works really well because we're able then to talk to the rest of the group about where we are and what stage we're at, to give hope as well. Like I said, this is where we are in our journey, and maybe they're 6 months away from that point where we're at.
And sometimes as well, you'll go to the groups and you don't really have a lot to update on there's not, you don't have loads to say from the last time that you were there, and you're actually just going to see the people that you've formed friendships with, and to hear about them and to see how they are. It's not always about that you have something heavy to go and talk about.
The turmoil at home and the times where we could be a bit down, a bit short with each other, maybe a lack of sleep or feeling a bit stressed or whatnot. It's you take things out on the people closest to you, and I think group is great to be able to kind of talk about that. There's a small amount of male representation from dads, but I know dads are back at work and trying to get time to come to group is quite difficult. But I think it's good that everyone has a voice around the table and people can ask questions, so I can talk about. It's nice to be able to talk about it from dad's point of view, and I think a lot of the moms in the group like to hear what it's like for the dads, because they can then look at their partners who aren't able to make group and think, well, do you know what, Paul's going through that too, so it kind of normalises a lot of the situations. And so groups like this are just so important to kind of just keep you sane, and realise that it's okay to cry, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to sit in your car for 10 minutes before you walk through the house and cry. It's okay to miss your child every single day. These are normal feelings. I couldn't imagine what I honestly think we would have fallen apart. Those times where I thought, yeah, our relationship could have been just gone because it was such a traumatic experience that we went through. And I think with group, because you get to talk with people, you realise it's normal. With Chasing Rainbows, yeah, thank goodness it's there. It's been an absolute lifeline and support, and even now, what we're going through at the moment.
So in May 2025, I went to the Chasing Rainbows Wellbeing Weekend with lots of other women. There were lots of us. Lots of other women, all bereaved mums. And we did workshops, we had like wellness therapies and, nice things like that. But there was a lot of like talking workshops as well, and, talking about really hard things, but in again, that like group environment and sort of supporting each other and meeting new people. Friends that actually have become friends now, who will be friends forever. It was incredible. Then shortly after that, also in May, I then found out that I was expecting again, which actually was a really it was a real mixed emotions. There were all of these feelings of like grief and guilt and worry. But also, when I had found out, Paul was away on holiday. So he was in Spain. And I was quite distressed, and I spent quite a long time thinking about if I should call him. I didn't really want to ring him and tell him over the phone, and obviously then know that he would be on holiday. So at that point, I contacted Sam for support, and she really helped me with those first few moments, and I was really glad of it, actually, that it worked out that way, because when I found out, like I said, I had a couple of days where there was just a lot of tears, and I think that it perhaps would have seemed that I was really unhappy, and I wasn't. I think I was, I was feeling all sorts of emotions, but I'd talked that through with Sam and kind of got my head around that before Paul then came back, and that's not how our journey started with all of that sadness. Telling, isn't it, of how much support you really do receive from the charity to then be able to reach out in those moments as well. It's not a journey that just ends. It continues from there.
But it was beautiful to come back and find out, and it's nice to be last to know. But Sam in the background, everybody.
It is funny to joke about, obviously, finding out afterwards, but at that time, if I hadn't have had Sam and Chasing Rainbows, I would have just been a wreck waiting. Chasing Rainbows were very important in our journey with Rocky, but they were also very important in the next pregnancy journey.
Yeah.
And so we continued to go to group throughout that, and then I also joined the pregnancy after loss group, which was new, which again had a really big place. It was really good timing, and it was really valuable because we went to a lot of antenatal classes in our pregnancy with Rocky, and this time it felt like doing things like that would be quite misplaced, or maybe even uncomfortable to go and meet like new expecting parents, and then to be asked questions about your story that you wouldn't necessarily want to talk about in those situations. So it meant that we were still meeting people who were expecting, which has been so lovely. And then obviously now there are rainbow babies that are here, and journeys that have a really good outcome now.
The one thing that I always kind of say from it, though, that is really sad to say, but because of how things are at this moment in time, and with the NHS service the way it is that we shouldn't have to lose a child to have a child. So we shouldn't have to advocate for ourselves. We shouldn't have to go through all this. We should have been fine the first time. And it's just sad that that's how it's turned out.
The investigation did find 25 findings or failings, really, as those are written. It was determined that it wouldn't have to be all of those things. If just a few of those things had been different, then Rocky would be here. And in our debriefs, the hospital was very aware of that. It's kind of bittersweet because you have made that change, and those changes have been made because of Rocky, but he shouldn't have lost his life for those changes to have been made. But we know that his impact and our sort of determination to follow through on that means that those changes have been made and they are in place. So that was, I suppose, the ultimate end to the investigation. Today, we have a 3-week-old daughter.
3 weeks today.
3 weeks today. Rocky has a sister. And we continue to be part of Chasing Rainbows and continue with our grief journey, but also keeping his memory alive.
Yeah.
Which the charity help us do all of the time. They honour his memory all of the time, and obviously in the fundraising that we're doing now. But all of the babies and all of the families, it'll be part of our journey forever.
Yeah.
And part of Rocky's journey forever.
His sister, little Fallon. Or Peaches.
Yeah. Fallon, Peaches, Joan.
Yeah. It's important that she knows who her brother was, and also the impact that her brother has had on people, on the charity, on just everything to do with him. I think, even just this Christmas, the tree in Beverley, the Chasing Rainbows tree, all these things just mean so much. So this is that's our story, Rocky's story, little baby Fallon's story. But for those of you here tonight listening to our story, you're in a place this evening which is quite close to myself and Claire's heart. The team at Mecca were hugely part of Rocky's journey. All of them knowing myself and Claire very well indeed, and supporting us through such a sad time. All the Chasing Rainbows people, you're all there too tonight. So thanks for listening to Rocky's story. And let's try and raise as much money as possible to ensure that we're all in a position to offer support to all the parents out there who've gone through such losses. And let's just enjoy ourselves tonight. Have a fantastic time. Let's do this.